Well, the book is Heaven is for Real. The movie is opening today, and please welcome back to the 700 Club, Todd, Sonia, and Colton Burpo. What did you guys think of the movie?
We loved it. After 3 years of waiting, you know, people don't know all the steps, but what we have today, and at the end of the day, they've kept true to their word to tell Colton's story, Colton's way, and we're really thrilled with it. It's easy for us to endorse this film.
Sure. Well, I want to ask you, you know, your father's book had little snippets. So you did this and that, and the other. Well, what happened to you?
Well, I had appendicitis.
And during that time, what happened?
Well, during the first surgery that I had, that's when I got to see heaven.
But you left your body. You didn't die. Left your body.
Yeah. I could look down and I could see my body, and then I could see my mom in one room, and she was on the phone talking and praying. Then my dad was in another room, and he was praying and yelling at the same time.
When you got there, what was heaven like?
Heaven feels like home.
Yeah?
I mean, we were made to be there with God, so it's just amazing the first time you get to be there.
Yeah? All right. You saw Jesus?
Yeah. And I spent most of my time in heaven with Jesus.
Yeah? Well, there are millions and millions of people want to see Jesus. How come you? Or did he have time for everybody and you just didn't understand how it worked?
At the time, he was with me a lot, but if I wasn't with him, I was with my great-grandpa and my sister.
What'd you think? Did you understand this little boy came back? Did you believe him when he first came back?
Well, at first, I've always believed in heaven, but I didn't know what I believed about near-death experiences. That was something that, it was a journey for me to sit down and realize that what my son was telling me really happened. I think, you know, being a person who grew up reading Scripture, trusting Scripture, and now here's a child talking to me about what he saw. But for me, the advantage was, as a parent, you know when a 4-year-old's telling you the truth, and you know when a 4-year-old cannot invent the things he's saying. And I know what he gets taught at church. There's no way he had the depth, the understanding, the things he was sharing. He couldn't read at the time, and he was talking about things that no 4-year-old's ever going to read in Scripture or be taught in church, and he was still right. And so it took me a while, but finally I realized that he was spot on, and this was true.
You didn't want a movie to be made of this. Why not?
No. Well, the integrity of the story. I remember in my first discussion, especially with Joe Roth, I was like, Joe, would you do anything that would violate your relationship with one of your sons or your children? He says, never. I said, that's my problem. At the end of the day, whatever you put up on the screen, my boy's going to see it, and he's going to hold me responsible for what you did. I'm not going to take that risk. And so that was my big concern.
Sonia, tell me about that child you lost, that little girl. What happened?
When Colton came back and said he saw 2 sisters, he came in and announced it like, this is the way it is, don't you know? Well, we hadn't told him.
Did you believe what he was telling you when he came back, or were you skeptical of it?
When he said he met his sister, that pretty much solidified it, because we didn't share that with too many people, and especially with him. How did he know?
Colton, what else you got to tell us about heaven? I mean, how long were you there?
Well, for some reason, I said I was there for 3 minutes. But it's kind of hard to grasp that I could experience all of what I saw in 3 minutes.
Well, you say it was kind of like home. I mean, were they, you know, I've heard about flowers and beautiful birds and all that stuff and singing. Was any of that you saw?
Yes, there were a bunch of plant life, there was water, there were people, and there were animals in heaven.
Animals? People ask us about dogs. Did you see dogs? I'm for horses. They had horses up there, didn't they?
Oh, yes. They had horses, they had dogs, they had cats, they had lions. Pretty much every animal we have down here on Earth is up in heaven.
And they're all tame, though.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you weren't scared, though, were you? A little boy, little fella. You were at peace all the time?
Well, not at first.
No,
in the hospital he was, but what was the first thing Jesus did for you?
Well, when I started to rise out of my body and I could see my body and then my parents in separate rooms, I was scared out of my mind. I didn't know what was happening. But I was sitting on Jesus' lap, and he had the angels sing to me to calm me down.
What else do you want people to take away from that movie or from this experience?
Well, I think in the movie, it's very honest. And one of the things that's really good is it talks about broken pieces that people carry. And you don't have to apologize to me if there's a broken part inside you. And I think it's going to be really good for people to come to this and hear from Colton and hopefully get some of those broken parts healed. They can talk about it, they can share about it. But most importantly, I hope that people realize that what Jesus did for Colton, he wants to do for you too. Yeah. He wants to do for everybody. And if you just let Jesus do that in your life, there's nothing he did for Colton that he doesn't want to do for everybody else.
Incredible. Well, the movie, folks, is called Heaven is for Real. It opens in theaters nationwide on April 16th. A special edition of the book, Heaven is for Real, is also available wherever books are sold. We leave now with Colton Burpo singing Heaven.
I can tell you stories that'll change your life. Truths as old as time can